నోట్ చేసుకుంటారు రమణ.
Am I audible?
तो क्या बोलते अब भी चाहती.
Manikanda, good evening.
Good evening, good evening. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay.
So could you please share the screen?
Okay,
And
just
please
give me.
concentrate you take one particular data set and show how to clean the data, how to pre-process the data, and what exactly, if they got some other data set, what exactly they need to do it in the datathon. That only you please show it.
Okay, so see, I have not prepared any dashboard in Click, but what I can do is that the exercise that I have shared, right, for replication, that we can discuss. And if they have any doubt regarding the datathon, right, so right from the data cleaning to data visualization, then presenting the insights, that I can help with. Will that
Okay,
work?
done.
Right?
That
Or
makes sense.
yeah, and or if they have tried to replicate it, they faced any problem, or if they have made it, they can present, and then we can add value to that, right? So that means
Okay,
they can do a practice how to present it during the datathon if they have made visualizations. Correct?
Okay, thank you.
Even that will work. So student can volunteer if they have made visualizations out of the data set.
Okay, done. Thank you so much. You can start the session, Manikanta. No need to wait.
Sure, give me a minute. Yeah.
Okay, no problem.
Is my screen visible? Is my screen is visible? Okay. Okay, yes. Okay, fine. So can I not go into the just a minute, give me a minute. Can I not go into the overall screen? Just a minute, let me figure it out how to do it. Right. Okay. Uh, so this Zoom is going into the full screen. Okay. Fine. Let me go. Like I can switch in between, right? Okay. So you guys remember like we had this particular visualization. I think I can still not see. Just a minute. Okay, if I share this. Can you see this? Everyone, can anyone confirm me? This was the exercise, right? One was the COVID-19 and one was this one, right? I hope you had a chance to go through this data or this exercise. So I'll just put it here also. So basically what we will do is we will try to understand the explanation of the visualization here, right? Because ultimately you need to present it. I'm again pasting the link here, right? Again, I'm pasting the link here so that you can simultaneously look at it, right? Okay. So if you look at this, this exercise is having many visualization, right? And if you see how they have cleaned the data, so basically, this was their data set, right? That CSV file I have already shared. And if you look at this, so basically this is related to game, Pokemon game. I do not know what this game is all about, but it seems these are the different ways in which they play game, right? So these are the columns. That means these are the features, right? And they have displayed some part of the data. That is few rows of the data. Okay. And finally, we see these are the rows. But let's go to the visualization, right? Again, this is descriptive data. So when you are doing datathon, right? So in which scenario you want to share the descriptive data? Do you have idea? When you will use aggregate value or descriptive data? Anyone? In which scenario you will use table? In which scenario you will use graph? Anyone? Okay, somebody. Okay. When there is a multiple attribute, you will use table or graph. Okay, so maybe, so see, when you have a data points, see, if there are 1,000 rows in a table, that doesn't make sense, right? It's very hard to scroll, right? So in that case, table is not a good choice of visualization, right? What is a good choice? You make a graph and where you can show the, trend out of those data points. But when you have a data set, the first thing you need to tell about your data set to the audience is that what is their aggregate value, right? What is the descriptive? That means if you look at this table, right? So what is the mean of that particular features, right? Then what is the standard deviation? What is the minimum value? What is the maximum value? So when you know all these, right? What is the count? So basically you get the idea of a data set, right? You remember I discussed data set, right? So when you do the descriptive representation of the data, basically it gives somebody who is not familiar with your data an idea about the data, right? Okay. So now if you look further, so this is a correlation, right? All of you remember the correlation, right? This is a heat map, right? The correlation matrix. So why do we use correlation? Anyone? Why do we use correlation? You can unmute yourself because it's more, let's keep it interactive, right? So that when you are presenting during your datathon, you know how to present your analysis. Go ahead.
We can see what are the unrelated attributes like with each other and remove them.
Right. See, sorry. Unrelated.
Yes, like less relation between the attributes.
Right.
They
So
have minus, negative.
yeah. Go ahead. Yeah, you are right. So we try to understand the relation, but why this relation is important for you? Why do you want to understand the relation between features? Why this relation will be important to understand? Reason is, let's say, just I'll give you an example. Let's say you are a sales company, you have a 3 channels, right? One, by making a call, right? You can reach out to the customer by making a call. Second, you can ask your sales representative to go in person and do the demo. Third, email marketing. Now, as a manager, right, you want to know which one is the most effective way, which is converting my the sales effort into the real time conversion. So do you think correlation will help here? I have a 3 sales channel: phone call, in person, and email marketing, right? And I want to know which one is the most effective way to convert customer from call to the real purchaser, real buyer. So will correlation will help, and measuring correlation will help me? Yes or no?
Yes.
Right. So this is why we do correlation. This is a very first step, right? Because we want to understand the problem we have, right? So what are the important features that we have which can help me to understand our problem, right? So in case of sales, if I see that I am having higher correlation of conversion between email marketing and the customer conversion, then I'll go with the email. I will reduce my cost into the, salesperson visit or the telephone call, right? Okay, so basically the correlation, we try to understand the association between different variables, right? And then we figure it out whether these particular variable will help me to understand my final, that is dependent variable, or the phenomena of interest that we are trying to understand, right? So this is why you will use correlation matrix. Now how to understand the correlation matrix, right? Now let's look at you have this, can you see my Word document? Are you able to see my Word document or not? Hello? Yes, no?
No, sir.
No, no. Okay, let me share it. So now you have open in front of you, there is a graph, this correlation matrix. You can open in your another tab, right? Now let's understand it, right? Let's understand it, the how to interpret this heat map graph, right? So this dark red color is a strong positive correlation. So when you say a strong positive correlation, anything greater than 0.8? Yes, no? Right. And similarly, the strong negative correlations. These are the color correlation. Understanding and dissecting the graph is very, very important. Now, if you look at this, this correlation matrix in this case, so what it says, there is a HP, and then there is a attack, defense, spatial attack, spatial defense, speed, generation, and legendary, right? So now, if you look at the Word document, what explanation it is having? There is a moderate positive correlation between HP and defense, right? So if you look at the graph, HP and defense, right? So if you look at the HP and defense, so which column is defense? Which column is defense? Can you tell me value of HP and defense correlation? Anyone? You understand all this value, right?
0.
Yeah, go ahead.
0.2, sir.
Right. So which is very weak correlation, right? Right? 0.2 is a weak correlation, right? So similarly, you should be able to interpret it. So when in a datathon, when you make a graph, you have to write an insight out of it, right? What insight is coming out of it, and then you have to present, right? So if you look at this, some noise is coming. Okay. So if you look at this, so what it says that similarly, it says about all the other possible combination, right? Whether they have positive correlation or whether they have negative correlation. But what is the most important thing is that this one, this particular line is important, right? It says that there is a moderate positive correlation between legendary and generation, indicating a higher proportion of legendary Pokemons are found later generation, right? So this is the insight. This is the insight that is coming out of from this particular analysis, right? So if you see the speed and generation, there is a weak positive correlation between speed and generation, and it suggests, what is suggesting that Pokemon from later generation might be slightly faster on an average, right? So this is when you understand your data, when you understand domain, then you will be able to understand the insight out of it, right? Similarly, so that was my whole idea to explain you, because this is what you need to explain when you go to the presentation after analysis. You have to present your analysis in Datathon, right? Yes, no? Right? You have to present your analysis, right? Okay, fine. So now let's go to the next part, box plot. Can anyone explain me this box plot? What you are inferring out of it? Anyone? Is there any outlier? Can anyone? Okay, let's do it together, right? Okay, let me copy this box plot, and so let me put it here. Just give me. Can you see my Word document now? Can you see my Word document?
Yes.
Okay, now let's understand, let us have this understanding of this box plot, right? Okay, so first of all, what it shows, the box plot. Now, so basically this box plot is showing distribution. When we use box plot, by the way, when data is large, right, and you want to understand the distribution, right, when it is not possible to display every single data point, right? So basically it shows us distribution, right? Distribution means out of the whole, how data are dispersed, right? Or how data is segregated into particular category. So if you look at this, this is the legendary. I have never played Pokemon, so I do not know about this. But what I look at this is, if you look at this, so there is a category false and true, right? And we see that in box plot, if you look at this, there is something called interquartile range, right? Maximum, minimum, whiskers. We also got whiskers plot, and there is an outlier, right? Some values lie below the mean, some values lie above the mean. So if you look at this, the median attack for the legendary Pokemon is significantly higher than non-legendary, right? So if you look at this, in case of legendary, there is a true, right? If it is true means it is a legendary, false means it is not legendary. So it says that the median attack, right? The median attack for legendary is true is higher than the false one, right? That is also very much visible. But what else it is there? There are few outliers, right? So the best part of the box plot is it helps you to find out the outliers. You can see that clearly how many outliers are there, right? And by the way, when you have an outlier, what does it mean? When you have an outlier, what does it mean? Anyone? Hello? You can unmute yourself. It's an interactive session. You will be asked this kind of question when you are presenting your analysis. What outlier is the significance of outlier? Okay, let me give you an example. So if you, let's say if a teacher conducts a test and out of 10 people, one person got 9 marks, rest of the class got 4 marks or 5 marks, below 5. Then what this outlier is doing to the entire class marks?
Deleting.
Huh? Because of one person got 9 marks and rest of the people in the class got below the 5 marks, right? Then what this 9 is significance of this 9? It's a very simple thing, right? Because if you calculate the average of the class, it will be very different, right? Because of that 9, because of the presence of that outlier. But in reality, so when we say average marks is 7 or 5, but reality is that most of the people have got below the 5, but average may be above the 5, right? But that is not reality, right? So that means the outlier impacts the average, right? That is why we should look at the median. So and not necessarily always outlier is bad thing. Sometimes outlier gives you a completely different way to think of it, why it is coming completely different, right? So this was about box plot. Overall, what is the significance of box plot in this context? The box plot clearly demonstrates that legendary Pokemon tend to have higher attacks stat than non-legendary Pokemon. However, there is still some variability within each group and few outliers exist. So this is how you have to write your final statement while you're presenting it. Are you guys with me? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this you can this way you can try it. In this exercise in Kaggle, they have not written explanation. They have only made this graph, right? So it is your job to understand what message it conveys. Now these are the then again very simple thing. If you go to the next plot, what is the next plot? So again, this is very simple plot. Yes or no? The poverty rates given state. So on x-axis there is a state, on y-axis poverty rate, right? So as I think these are the state name. And see one of the example. This is a very bad graph, right? Reason being, you cannot display so many data points on a graph which become very cumbersome. Yes or no? Do you agree?
Yes, sir.
Right. So what is the best way to display this? Right. We could have shown only top 10, right? You remember the top N feature? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Right. So you, instead of showing, trying to display a lot of data set, right? Basically you can show the top 10, right? From the or bottom end, right? Likewise. So you can use the top end feature. It is very self-explanatory, simple graph, right? Now let's go to the next one. Most common 15 surname of the killed people, right? So again, what information you get out of it when you see this graph? What insight you get out of it? Hello? Hello?
This graph is mostly based on the
Last
top
name.
15 surnames
Right,
which are
right,
repeated.
right. So basically it can give you some demographic idea, right? Basically from the surname we got idea of demography. Yes or no? People belong to a particular place and all. Right? For example, my title is Roy, Manikant Roy. So the moment I say my name, just next question people ask me, are you Bengali? And I am not. Right? So you got the idea, right? Yes or no? So this is very straightforward. Let's go to the next class. Next, right? Now have a look at it. Right? Let me copy this graph as well. And so do you think this is a combination of two graphs? The next graph. Are you able to see the graph?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Anyone can try for this explanation? What is happening in this graph? So first of all, you have to see what is on x-axis, right? Dimension and measure. You remember? Simply making graph will not help you, right? You need to tell what it is conveying, right? Okay. So let's go back to this Word document. I'll share this document with you guys, right? So that you can look at it, right? Okay. So let's say here, there is on y-axis, there is a values, right? On x-axis, it is a states. It is a combination of bar graph and line, right? Trend it's showing. Yes or no? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Right. So if you look at this, so since this state values are very, we cannot figure it out which state it is, but it shows that the highest probability rate, the states with higher probability rates are clustered on the left side of the chart, and states typically has probability rates above 20%, right? So if you look at the measure of it, right, maybe whatever this 0.3, 0.4 represents, right, accordingly it shows that,
చూడండి ఆంటీ బంతి పురుగు వచ్చేది సూది.
hello. Okay. So basically, it shows that the high school graduate versus poverty rate, right? So which state is having high school graduate ratio and poverty ratio, right? So if you look at the state and the high school graduates, right, and then whether they are related or not, make sense?
Yes, if the poverty is low, like we have the high school graduate, high percentage of high school graduates.
If poverty is low.
Low.
So yeah, so what does it mean? That means if people are well off, then they can go for studies, right?
Yes, sir.
Right. So these kind of inference, right? See, you need to understand one thing. There is a difference between explanation, right, or inference, right, or insights. We particularly call it insights, right? So when you make a graph, when you make a graph, right, so when you analyze the data, right, so there is one is explanation, right, and inference or insight is what you add to that. Explanation is coming from the data point. So if poverty is low, then high school graduate numbers are more. That means in those areas, in those states where there is a low poverty, where people are well off, they can go for higher studies, right, or go to the school. Otherwise it becomes very difficult. Okay. Now, what is the next graph we have into the now, can anyone tell me what is this graph? The next graph, are you able to see?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. What is this graph? Give a try. Nothing is right, nothing wrong. Don't worry, give a try. This is a joint graph, right? Right? It says that there is an area poverty ratio, or again it is the next part of this only, right? But it shows that visualization of high school graduation rate versus poverty rate of each state with different style of seaboard, right? So again, it is showing correlation, right? But it is showing the joint plot. So what does it mean? Joint means when we are looking at the two attributes, how the two attributes are in relation with each other. Make sense? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, just a minute. Just give me a minute. I was looking for the IIT somewhere. Did I miss it or what? Just give me a minute. I need to plug it into charge. Charge will just put into the charge. Just give me a minute, yeah. Yeah. Yes. Uh, so look at this. What this graph is showing to us, it is a joint plot, right? Which is a combination of scatter plot, a histogram, and kernel density estimation plot, right? So if you look at this, what these three elements are showing us, the scatter plot shows us a relationship, right? The correlation, whether this is a positive or negative correlation, we can look at the trend. Then the histogram and KD plots on the top right side shows distribution of each variable separately. The histogram shows the frequency value, whereas KD plots provides the smoothed estimate of the probability density function. And this plot helps to visualize overall distribution of data for each variable, right? So basically it gives us a bigger picture, right? And it confirms, if you look at the insight out of it, what is the insight out of it is here is, right? It confirms the negative correlation observed in the line chart and provides additional insight into the distribution of individual variable. So basically these are the little more advanced chart, right? And it provides us some more insight, right? How you can, comprehend your data in more sophisticated or advanced way. So, sorry, I'm a little bit switching a lot, right? Just give me a minute. Okay. Yeah, now go for this particular graph. What is the next graph? Can you tell me? What is this graph? The next graph? Again, the same information,
Joint
right? Which chart? Go ahead.
Joint plot.
Joint plot again. But in now in this graph, what is coming out differently? What information is coming out differently? And do you think when we plot a joint graph, sometimes it can be confusing? Yes or no? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Right. So not every time necessarily you can have this combination, right? In some cases, it might work. Okay. What next? If we go to the, what next we have, again, this is a self-explanatory pie chart. So when will you make a pie chart? What is the best practices of using a pie chart? Pie chart is considered the worst visualization.
Distributions.
But when the number of elements are
Less.
less. Perfect. Perfect. Now let's go again. It is a very simple regression plot, right? Okay. Then again, what is this KDE plot that we have seen? It's basically for visualization, density visualization, right? Something similar to the area plot. Now again, this, what is the significance of violin plot? What is the significance of violin plot? Anyone? Any try? When you make such kind of plot? Anyone? So when you see there, right, you have this area poverty ratio, right? And then area high school ratio. Again, you are trying to compare two distribution, right? Probability distribution, right? So in that case, you want to use, you may like to use this violin plot, but most of the time try to avoid the plot which is not necessary. Do not make visualization for the sake of making it, right? Again, this is a heat map. Heat map we have covered, right? Again, it's a box plot. What about SOM plot? When will you use SOM plot? What this, if you look at the graph, what it is trying to display? Categorical variable?
Yes, sir. It's like distributing.
Yes. First of all, it's a categorical variable, right? Gender, male or female, and then there is a age
Ages.
category. Yeah. And they say like there are three categories of death. or two categories rather, right? The short and tertiary, right? So basically it is showing us a distribution of categorical variable, right? How the death, in which way manner the death happened, right? At different level. Make sense? So basically it is showing age distribution, right? And the gender differences and manner of death differences. So overall, swarm plot you can use when you have this categorical thing. Then again, this is a pair plot. This is a combination of two, right? So basically, these combinations are good where you are using scatter plot as well as this histogram, right? Or box or bar plot, or about the bar, this line, because you are showing values as well as the trend also. So these are the some of the basic explanation. Again, these are the very simple one, right? So in which scenario you will use line plot? For trends, right? You would like to see how it is over the period of time, right? You remember the
Increase
first
and
thing?
decrease in over the time.
Yeah, trend, right? So basically whether it is a increasing or decreasing, or it is like increasing, decreasing, right? How it is happening. And so basically it shows two things, right? Citation and teaching versus world rank of top 100 university, right? So basically you want to see like whether citation is increasing, so teaching, or world ranking is increasing or not, right? And so on and so forth. Then scatter plot is again very simple. Okay, tell me what this scatter plot is showing you. Is there any pattern? Are you able to find any relationship out of it?
No, sir.
No, because data is quite scattered. We are not able to find any meaningful relation, right? So what happens when r equal to 0? When the value of r is 0.
Sir, R you mean is a word rank?
No, r mean correlation. Correlation.
Okay.
Yeah. So when r is 0, what does it mean? No relationship? Yes or no? The values is between 0 and 1, right? For positive correlation. 1 is the highest and 0 is the lowest. And then for negative, it is a -1 is higher. So again, this is a very simple graph, right? This one, donut chart. Yeah, again, very simple. But make sure pie chart and donut chart is when you have the category less than 5 or 6, then it is good. When you have a 20 category, do not make pie chart or do not make donuts. That will not be a good idea because it will increase a lot of cognitive load, right? So again, it is a bubble plot, right? So again, it is showing two things. One is like it's interactive, right? So basically, number of student size and then their color wise, right? So there's no particular caption is there. So we do not know what's on x-axis or what's on y-axis, right? But anyways, so again, this is a bar plot, but with area, right? When will you use word cloud? In which scenario you will use word cloud? Anyone? When you have last text and you out of those text, you want to know what are the major thing coming out of it, right? So in that case, you can use word cloud. Again, this is a box plot. Then it is a combination of this scatter plot matrix and the box plot, right? So the moment you see box plot, you see what are the different things? Maximum value, minimum value, quartile 1, then median, and then quartile 3, quartile 2, and so on and so forth. And if there is any outlier out of it. So again, this is the same thing, but in 3D view, like more specific, you want to know at particular point which particular value is there. So that's it. That's what I wanted to share with you. Like the idea was just to, when you have visualize it, how will you find the insight out of it? How will you present it? Right? Now I'm open to any question that you have. Otherwise, we can wrap it up.
ఈమె పిలిచి పోయినాక ఈయన వచ్చిండు ఇంకా నా ఇంట్లో వచ్చి
Hello. Do you
Sir,
have any?
I have a question.
Yeah, please go ahead.
So if like it is not a compulsory thing that we know all type of visualizations, right?
Not really, not important. But
So how
yeah, go
can
ahead.
we actually analyze if we see some visualizations that are not of our knowledge?
So see, that's a very good question actually, because selection of visualization will depend on many things, right? So you remember I have in the previous class I talked about two things. You have a data, but you don't have a question, right? Then you are open to explore anything possible that data can tell you, correct? And if you have a question, right? Let's say your manager has given you a problem, right? So these are the questions I want to get answer from the data, right? For example, sales trend, for example, the aggregate business, and so on and so forth. So your most of the time, your selection of the visualization will depend on the type of question you have, right? So if you do not know many advanced visualization, you start with the basic, right? Whatever you know. And once you know it, then you look at it and then you see whether I'm getting all the answers from this particular visualization for my question, or can it be represented in a more different way? Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Anyone else? Any other question?
Also, sir,
Uh-huh.
what should we expect from this datathon?
So I think in Datathon, the first thing is that you will get first-hand experience of of participating in any event where you are competing, right? Because when you work as a business analyst or you are working as a data analyst, right? So what do you think your job role will be, right? You will always be given a lot of data, or sometimes you have to collect the data. You will not be given. You have to understand the SQL query. You have to. There may be data existing in your organization. You have to collect it, right? Then you will analyze it and then you will present to your boss. Okay, these are the insight which can help our particular business thing, right? Okay, let me give you a very good example. I'm just searching a slide if I could, right? Then okay, go ahead. Meanwhile, you have any other question? So basically, you will be analyzing the data. You will be presenting. You will be given a data set, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So you will be analyzing that, right? And you will presenting that insight, but your insight should, convey there will be a panel or judges. So they should be able to understand what you have analyzed it for, right? So you got the first thing need to understand. There's a difference between explanation and insight. Explanation, that graph itself will say this is the data point, this is a mean, median, mode, whatever, right? But what insight you will say from your side, what story is coming out of it, that is more important.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Okay, so if you do not have a question, we can wind it up. Happy Dashera. How many of you tried making this visualization in Click? Anyone tried here? All those data, you guys got the data set? Okay, fine. So is Dr. Praveen is there? All the best for your data, Tom.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, bye. 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 Thank you.